As a part of leadership series, I will be talking on how to build a better understanding of a complex situation. Imagine if you had 10 eyes, could you smell better? First, that is an incredibly random question, but seriously think about it. You probably cannot smell better. In fact, you probably smell worse because your brain would be so overwhelmed with visual information. What does this have to do with 21st century leadership and information? Well, you are going to have to watch this video to find out. In this module, we look at how important it is to build an effective understanding of a complex situation. In order for us to understand the situation that we are in, we need to process different kind of information about the situation. In other words, we compile information from different senses to build an overall understanding of the world. For example, we use our eyes to supply visual information, our ears to supply sound information, and one nose to supply us with the sense of a smell. And then what our brain does, it combines all the information from these different senses to build a rich understanding of the world. If we have one sense that is not operating properly, for example, we do not have eyes, and then we will have an incomplete picture of the world because we won't be able to assess visual information. The key point here is it's not about saying there is a best sense of or that you need to all of the senses. It's about recognizing that you need the right complete complement of the senses to build the right understanding of the world. Just because you have more than one senses does not mean you have a better understanding of the situation. For example, you might have four eyes and 6 ears, but that does not mean you are going to have a good sense of smell. More importantly, just by adding more eyes or ears does not mean you are going to be able to smell any better. Now, that might sound like a strange situation, but let's compare that to the reality of the 21st century leader. Just because you have a lot of kinds of information does not mean you have a better understanding of the situation around you. For example, you might have a lot of financial information, but just because you have that does not mean you understand the reality you are in. Why does this matter? Because your senses can be deceived, and if you are relying on the wrong senses at the wrong time, then you can end up with very bad understanding of the situation, which can result in devastating consequences. A personal example of this is that I used to live in London and ride a motorbike every day into work. And if you know London, you know by Bank Tube station there is a very busy junction. And one day, unfortunately, as I was riding by, I saw a woman step outside into the road and get hit really bad by the motorbike. She was lying in the street, and it was a very bad situation, and the whole junction had to get shut off, and the ambulance was called. Now, what was the interesting about the situation is that woman had been on her phones and had obviously not seen the motorbike that was coming by. So what does it mean is that she had not using the audio senses and her visual sense to properly scan the environment for danger. She simply walked out into the middle of the road and been hit. And so in the similar sense, if we are not paying attention to the environment around us and not listening to our senses properly, then we too can be hit by the things that if we paid a bit more attention to the environment, we would be able to see. The best way forward is to make sure you are getting the right kind of information from the right sources. Do not rely on just one source of information. If the lady in the street is she taken the moment to listen and look, then her situation might be different, and the same applies to you. Take the time to listen to all your senses and upgrade your senses, and then that way you can spot the dangers so well as the opportunity. So, in the summary, it is impossible for one person, in other words, you, to fully understand the complex situations. You need to have a diverse array of information sources in order to be able to build an effective understanding of complex situations. So, let's look at the nature because nature provides some great examples that are very alien to us humans. So, in homing pigeon, it has been discovered that the birds are able to fly by following the magnetic fields line of the earth. How on the earth do they do this? At the moment, it is not fully clear, but as you can see in the links below, if you follow them, that it is the other there are magnetic particles in the bird's eye that arouse it, that guides it towards the destination. Sharks also have a different sensor that humans do not have, which is called electroreception sense. And what this essentially allows them to do is to detect electromagnetic fields that living beyond being produced. Now, the sounds almost like science fiction, but it is very effective sense for allowing the sharks to find their prey in the big screen. And so that's a great example of animals that have senses that we don't have. And as we realize that we cannot see the things that these animals see. They have completely different perspectives of the world, and that allows them to have very different understanding of the situation they are in. So, what is the point here? The more diverse your data source, the richer your understanding of the situation, and the lower your chance of being trapped in a bubble. On the left hand side, you can see someone who is always been told the same stuff by the same people, which is I have characterized by blue color. And so, what that person is seeing a blue world. They are essentially trapped in bubble of the blue because that's all they have ever told in the same old stuff, whereas the person on the right has lots of different information sources. They have blue information, red, orange, purple, green, and many different colors. And of course, all these colors together make white, which is why that person on the right in the white shades we can say. And so the point here I am trying to emphasize is that you can build a more complete and enhanced situation understanding of the situation by combining the senses of the diverse sources. So that leads us to the current framework, and we are going to focus on the source of information. We are the five people you spend the most amount of the time communicating with, no matter, because they are your sources of information. Your body has a sensors, but you as a leader also have sensors, and those are the people in the environment who are feeding you information, and the different kind of people you have in the environment are going to feed you different kind of information. So it is important to be aware of how diverse those information sources to make sure that you are not being trapped like the blue bubble person in the world in which you are just seeing one reality. So first of all, identify the five people who you communicating the most with. And now in the slide, what you can do is map out how diverse those individuals are. So on the left side, you will see several different criteria by which you can categorize the individual. Obviously, feel free to add more if you want. And so for those five people, write down their age, gender, culture, income, in education level, interest, and hobbies and profession. And what you will be able to see how diverse those individuals are. And now, if you are finding that you are spending the same amount of time with the same amount of people, then that is suggestion that you might be worth discovering new types of individuals who can provide you with different perspectives of the world. And the value of that, of course, is that can make you alert for new opportunities and new challenges that you had never ever considered before, because you had been operating within your comfort bubble. So, in summary, what do you need to do? You need to use the framework to identify five people that you communicate the most with, and then use that framework to generate an understanding of how diverse your information sources are, and that will reveal the gaps in your understanding of the situation. For example, if you only spend time with white people who are aged 30 years old, who have college education, earn around $50,000 and are interested in sports and are mainly working in the consulting field, then that suggests you are only having a narrow view of the world. So identify which groups you would like to get more involved with that are different to what you already know, and that way you can improve your diversity. In summary, what have you learned in this module? We have learned that to make effective decisions, you need to have diverse understanding of the world, a rich understanding, and that you only going to be able to generate by having different sources of information. Again, the crucial point is not about having more information, it is about having diverse information. So take the time to find the listen to the new perspectives once that you do not always hear, and then make the effort to piece them those new information source of information together to build a richer understanding of the world. And by using that greater awareness, you will be able to see challenges and opportunities earlier more clearly.